Hi, I'm Kally and welcome to Kally Explains. This is where I break down complex tech in simple, plain terms. And this video, this is your monthly AI roundup. It'll be dropping on the first Sunday of each month, so make sure you look out for it. And today we're looking at the biggest AI stories right now. What's happened, why it matters, and what it tells us about where AI is heading next. Because AI moves so fast that every week there seems to be another headline, another launch, and another company claiming that it's changed the game. But when you strip away all the hype, the bigger picture is actually quite simple. This is no longer about who has the smartest chatbot. It's about trust, money, power, distribution, and control. Who can you trust with your data? How are these companies planning to make money? Who gets the closest government and major platforms? And who ends up controlling the AI tools that everyone uses every day? So this isn't just a list of stories, it's about what those stories actually mean. This is Kally Explains. Claude leaked code. So why is this a problem? So let's start with Anthropic. One of the biggest recent stories was that Anthropic, the parent company of Claude, they accidentally exposed part of Claude's code. This is their internal source code. So The Verge reported that a source map file exposed more than 512,000 lines of internal TypeScript code. And Anthropic said it was a packaging error, not a breach, and that no customer data or credentials were compromised. So now in plain English, what does that mean? Because this is a company building AI tools that people are supposed to trust with serious work. So people are using Claude for things such as coding, ideas, research, business tasks. And if the company behind one of these tools accidentally exposes part of its own internal code, people start asking a very simple question. If they want us to trust their systems, how tight are their own processes? Now, to be clear, this wasn't the same as customer data just being dumped over the internet, but it still matters because trust in AI is not just about whether your personal data got leaked, it's also about whether the people building these tools look in control. And there's another reason this story matters. The leak reportedly showed hints of some unreleased features. A feature like a Tamagotchi style pet and a Kairos always on agent concept. This makes the story bigger than just some code got exposed. It suggests these tools are moving forward towards a more persistent agent style behavior. So the issue isn't, oops, some code got leaked. The issue is these companies are building tools that they want to deeply embed into real life and real work, and that means people expect a higher level of trust. Just a quick one, if you're liking the video so far, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel for more plain, simple technical breakdowns. Now let's get back to it. OpenAI and the US government. Why does that worry people? So next up we've got OpenAI, the parent company of ChatGPT. So Reuters reported that OpenAI signed a deal to sell access to its AI models to the US defense and government agencies through AWS or Amazon Web Services, and this includes classified and unclassified work. This now means that OpenAI is moving further into serious government and national security use. And around that wider government push, OpenAI also announced a partnership with the US General Services Administration. They're going to make ChatGPT Enterprise available to the entire federal executive branch workforce for $1 per participating agency for the next year. That's $1 per agency, not employee. And that's ChatGPT Enterprise, not ChatGPT Pro. Now, why does that worry some people? Because once AI starts moving beyond consumer tools and into government systems, this stops becoming just a tech story. It becomes a power story, a policy story, and a trust story on a completely different level. And there's another part that makes people feel uneasy, and that's OpenAI's privacy policy. The policy now says that it may share personal data, including information about interactions with its services, with government authorities or third parties when required by law or for certain legal, fraud, safety or liability reasons. Now, it's not the same as saying the government has a backdoor or bespoke access to chats clause, but it is a real privacy policy point that people should understand. So the concern is not that the OpenAI is working with the government, It's that AI is getting closer to state power while the public still holds a lot of unanswered questions about oversight, transparency, and where the line gets drawn. OpenAI ads. Why do people dislike them? So sticking with OpenAI, let's talk about ads. So on the 9th of February 2026, OpenAI said it had begun testing ads in ChatGPT in the US for logged in adult users on the free and the Go plans. OpenAI also said ads do not influence answers and that conversations stay private from advertisers. And this is where people start paying attention because ads change incentives. That is the simple version. When you use a chatbot, especially one that feels personal and conversational and you want it to feel like it's helping you, not judging you, not steering you, not trying to monetize your attention in the background. And the moment ads arrive, people start asking questions like, is this answer really neutral? Why am I being shown this? Could commercial interests shape what I see over time? Now, even if OpenAI say ads are separate from answers, the biggest issue for people is still trust. Because business models shapes products over time. And this is a really key point. AI is expensive, very expensive. So somehow these companies have to make money. That money can come through subscriptions. It can come through enterprise customers. It can come through governments. Or now it can come from ads. That is why it matters, not because one advert suddenly ruins the product, but because it raises the bigger question. Can an AI assistant still feel trustworthy if advertising becomes part of the business model? Anthropic's counterposition. Now this is where the contrast gets interesting. So Anthropic has publicly said that Claude will remain ad-free. And in a post in February 2026, they said advertising incentives are incompatible with a genuinely helpful AI assistant and said users would not see sponsored links next to Claude conversations or have Claude responses influenced by advertisers. So now you've got a very visible split in AI. One company testing ads, another saying no ads at all. This is not just a product decision, this is now a trust strategy. And over time, that could matter a lot because people may start choosing not just the smartest tool, but the one whose business model they trust the most. Microsoft are changing the game too. Now let's talk about Microsoft because this is where the AI race really gets interesting. For a long time, Microsoft was seen as the company tied most closely to OpenAI, and that made sense. But it's changing. So Reuters have reported that Microsoft introduced a new Copilot features called Critique and Counsel. And the key point is that Microsoft is using a multi-model setup. That includes OpenAI's GPT and Anthropic's Claude. So one model can generate while another verifies, critiques, or lets users compare outputs side by side. Reuters said the goal is to minimize hallucinations, improve quality, and increase productivity. So in plain English, that matters because Microsoft seems to be saying one AI model on its own is not enough. If one model writes something impressive but gets key details wrong, that is still a problem. So Microsoft's answer is use more than one. Let one model do the first pass, let another model challenge it, and let users compare outputs side by side. And honestly, that is one of the smartest things happening in AI right now. Because in business, people do not just want speed, they want confidence, consistency. They want something useful without creating extra risk. So the Microsoft story is bigger than just a new Copilot feature. It's really about this. The future of AI may not be one winning model. It may be multiple models working together. Apple choosing Gemini is a massive signal. Now let's talk about Apple and Google because this could end up being one of the biggest AI stories of the year. Something I actually mentioned back on my LinkedIn back in October. So Reuters reported in January that Apple and Google had struck a multi-year AI deal for Gemini models to help power a revamped Siri. Reuters then reported that at the end of March, Apple was testing a new Siri feature working on a much more bigger Siri upgrade using Gemini, expected to be released later in 2026. Some people are saying around September, October. Reuters also reported separately that Apple plans to open Siri to rival AI services, which would let users route some requests to tools such as Gemini or Claude. And in plain English, this is a massive deal because Apple is Apple. If Apple chooses your AI, that's not just a nice partnership. That's access to one of the biggest consumer ecosystems in the world. So why does it matter? Because it changes the shape of the AI race. A lot of people assumed OpenAI would stay the strongest position because ChatGPT got there first and it became the brand most people knew. But Apple going with Gemini for Siri suggests the market is much more open than people thought. It also says something else very important. It says that distribution matters just as much as the model quality, because Google does not just have Gemini. Google also has Search, Android, Maps, Workspace, YouTube, and now potentially a much deeper role in Apple's ecosystem. I actually posted about this on LinkedIn back in October, because to me the real battle was never just going to be about who had the best chatbot. It was going to be about distribution, partnerships, and who gets built into the platforms people already use every day. The bigger picture. So when we zoom out and we look at the bigger picture, it becomes a lot clearer. Anthropic's leak is about trust. OpenAI's government push is about power and access to institutions. OpenAI's ad story is about the business model pressure. Microsoft's multi-model strategy is about reducing dependencies on one model and making AI more reliable. And Apple choosing Gemini is about distribution and ecosystem control. That is the real AI race. Not just the smartest bot. Trust, money, power, distribution, and control. And that's why these stories matter. AI is becoming less of a fun side tool and more of a serious layer being built into work, platforms, institutions, and everyday life. So that's your first monthly AI roundup. And because this was episode 1, I wanted to go a bit wider than just 1 month's worth of headlines. And I wanted to explain what these stories meant in plain English. So if you enjoyed this, make sure you comment, subscribe, and like the video. Can we get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year? That would be amazing, and that is the goal. So if you know someone that wants to understand AI or any type of tech without the hype and the jargon, then share this video and the channel with them. We are focusing on AI at the moment, but there is a lot of tech and a lot of confusion out there. And here on this channel, all I want to do is get rid of that confusion, and technology really shouldn't be a hindrance for anyone. These monthly AI videos will be dropping on the first Sunday of each month. So make sure you subscribe so you can see when it's dropping. And thank you all for watching. And the next video will be dropping will be around sharenting and why things are posted online forever and private is not necessarily private. We're also going to be doing a deep dive into some social media stuff and algorithms and some of the things that maybe you didn't know, maybe you do know, and maybe it's just some good hints and tips. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you at the next video.